14th, 2016. Let us all stand for the invocation and the pledge. Let us bow. Heavenly Father, we thank you for all that you do for us. We thank you for this day. We thank you for this country that we live in and the freedom that goes along with it. And now, Father, we ask that you would guide our thoughts and guide our discussion today and help us to make those decisions which would benefit the citizens of this great city that we live in and we call home, Longview, Texas. And we ask all this in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Join me for the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. Be seated. All right. First thing we need to do is to approve the minutes from our December 15th meeting. Do we have any corrections or additions?
I move to approve as printed.
Second. It's been moved and second that we approve the minutes for the December 15th meeting. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? There being none, those minutes stand approved. We do not have a consent agenda for this evening, so we'll move into the regular agenda. The purpose of this meeting is to hear all pertinent testimony of those in support of and in opposition to the applications before the board. Tonight is the first of two public hearings required to approve a change in zoning. The board also considers plats. The procedure for public hearing items to be followed tonight will be: the public hearing will be opened and testimony will be heard in the following order: the applicant, staff, general public, those in support and in opposition to the request. If you're part of a large group with a common interest, we ask that you appoint a spokesperson rather than having each individual restate the same information. When addressing the board, please begin by stating your name and address. Try to limit your comments to no more than 5 minutes. When all sides have spoken, the public hearing on the matter will be closed. No further public discussion will be entertained. After each public hearing is closed, the board will then vote on the request. Zoning requests and Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendations will go forward to the second public hearing, which will be conducted by the City Council on February 11th, 2016. All right. If there be nothing else, we'll move into our regular agenda. All right, the first two items on our regular agenda have been moved from the consent agenda and do not require public hearings. They only require consideration and vote. P1601, consider application P1601 filed by James Williams to plat approximately 3.41 acres of AB 262 Alex Jordan survey into 28 residential lots located on Yellowstone Drive, north of Eden Drive. Is the applicant present? If you'd like to.
Thank you. My name is Travis Crafton. I work for Johnson & Pace Incorporated. We're located at 1201 West Loop 281 here in Longview. We're here on behalf of James Williams, the developer of this subdivision. And this is just for approval of our final plat. So there's really, unless there's questions, really nothing else to add.
Okay. Let us go ahead and have the staff to
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. This is Premier Parks Phase 5 subdivision. The applicant is requesting to plat a 28-lot subdivision within Premier Parks. Fire protection, water, and sewer have been extended for this subdivision. The plat complies with all of City of Longview requirements, and staff recommends approval of the plat with the condition that the easement abandonment is approved by City Council and filed prior to filing this plat. I'd be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Any questions for staff? It's basically administrative. Thank you. If there be no questions, is there a motion?
Motion for approval?
Second.
It's been moved and second that we approve application P1601. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Stands approved. Thank you. Consider application P16-02 filed by Reach Enterprises, Inc. to plot approximately 38.5 acres of abstract 177 W.M. Robinson Survey Tracts 65-04, 65-05, and 109, Section 4, located on the north side of Hawkins Parkway, east of Bill Owens Parkway, and west of McCann Road. As the applicant present, you wish to?
I'm Vicki Yoakum with Reich Enterprises, and our address is 434 East Loop 281. We're in Suite 200 here in Longview. And I just, if there's any questions for me, I'm here.
Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. This is Hidden Hills Phase 1 subdivision, located on the north side of Hawkins Parkway. All infrastructure, including fire, water, and sewer, have been extended. The applicant is requesting to plat 48 residential lots. This plat complies with the City of Longview requirements. Staff recommends approval of this plat, and staff did receive a letter of credit for all the outstanding infrastructure, including the private street.
Okay. Thank you. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second to approve application P16-02. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There being none, thank you. Stands approved. Consider, we're at RP 15-08. Consider application RP 15-08 filed by Roger Landwehr to replat Lot 8J NCB 3340 JL Finch Estate into 2 residential lots located on South Side Spring Street west of Silver Falls Road. Is the applicant present?
Yes.
And Chairperson, this will require a public hearing because it
Yes.
is a replat.
Got it.
I'm Roger Landwehr. My home is NK39, Lake Cherokee. I'm asking for approval to divide a 1-acre lot into 2 separate half-acre lots. Any questions, please?
All right, sir. Staff?
Thank you, Chairperson Murphy. The applicant is requesting to replat. As you can see, this was originally Lot 8J into 2 residential lots located on the south side of Spring Street, west of Silver Falls Road. Water and sewer have been extended. The plat complies with all of the City of Longview requirements, and staff recommends approval of this request. I would be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Commission have any questions at this time for staff or the applicant?
What's the size of the housing?
I'm not sure, but they would require, they would be compliant with the zoning that's in place. So it's SF4, so minimum lot size for zoning is 1,000 square feet, but I'm pretty sure the applicant has built a larger house. He has one out there right now.
Okay. If there be no other questions at this time from the commission, the public hearing will now be open to consider application RP 15-08. Is there anyone present who would like to speak in support of this application? There being none, is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to this application? There being none, the public hearing is closed. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion for approval?
Second.
It's been moved and second to approve application RP 15-08. All those in favor say aye. Aye. And opposed? Application 15-08 is approved. S16-01, consider application S16-01 filed by RHE Investments requesting a specific use permit to allow for a drive-through window in general retail zoning district for lots 1 through 8, Block 2, Ware Place, located on the east side of High Street, south of Marion Drive and north of Jewel Drive. Is the applicant present? If you come forward, please.
I'm J.T. Roberts, ST41 Lake Cherokee. I'm the owner of the property. We're going to build a nice convenience store here similar to the one Zippy J's that we did over in Gregton on West Marshall Avenue in the Loop, except it will not have a car wash. The way this particular store lays out, we can put a drive-through window. Now, it will not be like a McDonald's where you have an order board. They'll drive, it'll be a covered, this is a side view that shows it'll be a covered drive-through. It'll be really nice. A lot of our customers in stores that we do have drive-through windows really do like it, especially the women. And so they'll drive right up to the window and talk to the clerk if they want to get something. So it's convenient, it's nice for business, and customers really appreciate it. I think it'll be a nice addition down on South High Street. There's nothing down there like that. So I don't think it'll be a deterrent to anyone because we won't have a noise. It won't be a noise issue. So I don't think there'll be a problem with any of the neighbors for that reason.
Okay. Does the commission have any questions for the applicant at this time? There being none, staff?
Thank you. The applicant is requesting a specific use permit for a drive-through service in general retail zoning district. A specific use permit is required for drive-through service within general retail to ensure no negative impacts on surrounding properties. And as you can see in this zoning map, if I can get to it, there is some residential behind this property. However, through the site plan process, staff will ensure that buffering is required, such as a solid wood or masonry fence, as well as at least 10 foot of buffering, depending on the height of the building. Staff finds that this use is compatible with the surrounding zoning, and staff, I would be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Sir, excuse me, Mr. Roberts, owner, what type of services do you anticipate will occur through that drive-through?
You know, Frankie, it's, you get a lot of people come through. It's usually like cigarettes and items like that people in a hurry and don't want to come in the store, want to come through. It's usually that type of items more than anything.
So it's not a restaurant?
No,
It's
ma'am.
not food
No, ma'am.
service?
It's a convenience store, very similar to the
Okay.
store we have over there on Highway 80. Yes, ma'am. Not a restaurant, no.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? I am familiar with that store you have over on Highway 80 there in Gregton. It's a very nice looking store.
Thank you. This will be very similar. It's very
It's
similar.
really nice. Good job. Okay, if there be no other questions at this time, we will open up the public hearing for application S16-01. Anyone present who wishes to speak in support of this application, please come forward. There being none, anyone who would like to speak in opposition to it, please come forward. There being none, the public hearing is now closed. Do we have a motion?
Motion for approval. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve application 16-01. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 1601 stands approved. S1601 stands approved. Sorry about that. PD 1601. A public hearing will be held to consider application PD 1601 filed by Nicholas Northcutt requesting a rezone from planned development, single-family detached, PD 13-11 to planned development, single-family detached to reduce the minimum home size from 2,400 square feet to 2,100 square feet, lots 1 through 30, Block 1, Savannah Hills subdivision. Is the applicant present? If so, please come forward.
Thank you. My name's Travis Crafton with Johnson & Pace Incorporated, address 1201 West Loop 281, Longview, Texas. And our client and developer of this subdivision, we zoned it planned development, and we started off with 2,400 square feet as our minimum, which is what our client, just the vision he had for the subdivision and what he wanted. And there are no sold lots at this time. There are 2 homes built, which our developer does own those homes at this time. And just with the interest over this past year, we feel like the restriction that we placed on ourselves was just a little bit too great, and to allow for, once again, the interest of folks in the community and in town who are interested in this subdivision, that it would help if we could just reduce that restriction a little bit. And then that's the reason for moving that from 2,400 down to 21. In hindsight, had we known in the beginning, we obviously could have started out at 2,100 square feet. We could have gone that route, and I feel like that would have been just fine. But once again, that was the vision he had, was to start out at 2,400, and due to the interest that he spoke to many people, once again, who are interested in this subdivision, but it's just providing a little bit more of a restriction with that minimum at 2,400. So in this subdivision, I'm sorry I didn't, I guess, explain the area. This is off of Spring Hill Parkway. If you guys are familiar with this area, just north of Hawkins. And my apologies I forget the original zoning that was on this property. I believe.
I think it was agricultural.
Agriculture, thank you. Was agriculture, and we went for a planned development. It's a private community. It is gated. Be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Commission have any questions for the applicant at this moment? Go ahead.
You mentioned that there's 2 homes currently there. No one's living in them?
No, sir.
Okay. What's the square footage of those houses on those 2?
I would have to check with our client on that. I apologize. I do not. I believe that it is in the 2,000s. I don't know that it's quite 3,000 on the square footage of those homes.
25, 27?
I believe somewhere in between that range. I don't have an exact number, but
Okay.
Any other questions at this time? Staff?
Thank you. The applicant is requesting to amend Plan Development PD 1311 to allow for a reduced minimum house size from 2,400 square feet to 2,100 square feet for all of the 30 lots within Savannah Hills subdivision. The applicant previously submitted a plan development that was approved by City Council in November of 2013, which had the minimum house size set as 2,400. All of the other requirements within that plan development will stay the same. This plan development is a gated subdivision with a private street. They do have varying setbacks that are not typical to a normal SF single-family subdivision. Maximum house size or height of the house will be 2.5 stories, which is our typical minimum. It'll have 2-car garage, or at least 2 parking spaces, which is our typical minimum. And then they will also have actually sidewalks within this subdivision. Spring Hill Road is a collector, which is appropriate for this type of development. I would be happy to answer any questions at this time.
What size houses are in that area?
Some of these areas, it's an older part of town. As you can see, if you look at all the green, where it has A is agricultural. Agricultural is typically a temporary zoning. Whenever we annex into the city, it's given a designation as agricultural. So a lot of these houses were built when they were outside the city limits, so it's hard to say what a typical house size is. If you look at Eric Lane, they did rezone at one time to SF4 to allow for smaller lots and smaller house sizes, but agricultural only requires 1,500 square feet in that zoning category.
And the SF4 is?
SF4 is 1,000.
Okay, and we don't really have any other developments like this right now in that area?
No, not in this area.
Okay. Okay. The reduction in the size from 24 to 21, is this going to be an economic kind of thing in terms of the price?
I would speculate that's got to be it, you know,
Okay.
just as far as the interest in the area and for I mean, that's,
They're nice homes. The ones over there are nice. I did the tour.
and if you look down the street from Spring Hill to the east, Vintage Trail, also a private gated community
Yes.
that's just down the road. In terms of a newer development, I think 2007 is when that development started and pretty well fully developed. There may be one lot left. No square foot. It's either 1,500 or 1,800 minimum for that.
And I
that
believe they're
neighborhood.
going to have some pretty large HOA areas. I think there's quite a few big HOA area here in the rear. That's an amenity to this subdivision because it's a planned development. I think it's got a little park area in there.
In the back
Yeah,
of
right
the
here.
Panhandle, that's right, that HOA right there.
Sidewalks and everything.
Okay.
Little closer front backs, kind of a community feel to keep the homes closer together.
Okay. Any other questions? If there are no other questions, we will now open up the public hearing for application PD 16-01. Anyone present wishing to speak in support of this application? There being none, anyone present wishing to speak in opposition to this application? There being none, public hearing is now closed. Do we have a motion?
Motion for approval.
Second.
It's been moved and second that we approve application PD-16-01. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Application PD 16-01 stands approved. Thank you. All right. Next item is M 16-01. Public hearing will be held to consider M 16-01, amending Article 8-107, Article 8-600, and Article 10-104 of the zoning ordinance to add uses, definitions, and create parking requirements for mobile food units and mobile food unit parks. I know that there was a task force that was put together to work on this. Do we have anyone present from the task force or who is going to represent this?
Yes, sir. Staff can represent this, but there are members present that were appointed to the task force.
Would you like to come and speak to us about it?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My
Thank
name
you.
is Ed Moore. I live at 707 Willowwood Street. I was the city council liaison for the task force. I'm here to speak in favor of this action. The task force, and we have a couple of members here that may want to speak also, but the task force and several subcommittees of the task force spent quite a few hours studying, I think, 8 different cities with respect to mobile food units. I'm still trying to get used to mobile food units instead of food trucks, but we looked at zoning and, of course, a number of other things that are not particularly within the purview of Planning and Zoning Commission, but our timeline is, assuming you all vote to make these amendments, this will go before City Council at their regular meeting in February 11th. And there are three other ordinances having to do with vendors and health that will go before City Council at that same date. We looked at as I said, a number of different cities, the zoning requirements in those cities, and we felt that for the mobile food units themselves, Anything from parking on up would be appropriate to include office and neighborhood services, but for a mobile food unit park, it was more appropriate to have those in a higher use category, general retail and above. I'll sit down and answer any questions during the public hearing portion if you'd like, and as I said, there's a couple of task force members here also. So with that, I'll sit down for the time being.
Thank you, Councilman Moore. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. As Councilman Moore previously stated, the Mobile Food Vending Task Force was created by council and the mayor to address amending ordinances to allow mobile food units in Longview. As he stated previously, several ordinances must be amended to allow for the mobile food units, and one of them is one of the sections or one of the chapters is the zoning ordinance. Planning and zoning staff, along with the Mobile Food Vending Task Force, is proposing amendments to the zoning ordinance to allow for uses, one use being mobile food unit, and as Mr. Moore stated, allowing them in parking, P zoning district and above, so that would be office, neighborhood services, general retail, light and heavy commercial, central business district, light and heavy industrial, and planned developments. And proposing another use, mobile food unit parks, and allowing them in general retail and above. Staff also proposes two ordinances, or two definitions defining what a mobile food unit is, which is a unit as defined in Chapter 46 of the City of Longview Code of Ordinances. That's the Health Department's code, referencing back to them. That is designed to be readily movable and from which food and or beverages are prepared and or sold. And then we created another definition for the park, an area designed to accommodate mobile food units that congregate to offer food and or beverages for sale to the public as the primary use of the property. Staff also did create parking requirements for a mobile food unit park, a minimum of 2 parking spaces for each unit pad site. And so these are the changes that staff, along with the Mobile Food Vending Task Force, proposes to the zoning ordinance. Both staff and planning and zoning, or staff and the Mobile Food Vending Task Force recommend approval of this request. I would be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Any questions for staff? Okay. In that case, we will open up the public hearing for application M16-01. Anyone present who would like to speak in support of application M16-01, please come forward. Give us your name and address, please.
Good evening. My name is Henk Gutschelaar, 615 East Melton Street, and also a member of the task force. Yes, we'd like to see this go forward, and while I cannot speak on behalf of everybody, after we discussed the changes and the amendments that need to be made, the final outcome of the task force was that the vote was unanimous to go forward with this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else present who would like to speak in support? Yes, sir.
Not really a whole lot to say, just sat in on several meetings. Ed did an excellent job of being the city representative, but I think this is a new opportunity. We may be a little light in population for this really to be as popular as we wanted it to be, but I think over time we can grow into this. I know Jacksonville has a park down there, mobile food unit park, that I have not visited, that I plan on visiting now between when this comes up in front of City Council. But I believe Planning and Zoning, Michael Angela, have looked at this very closely, and we've had a good turnout for the meetings, and I just want to say that everything looks like it's moving along. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Anyone else wishing to speak in support? There being none, anyone present wishing to speak in opposition? There being none, public hearing for application M16-01 is now closed. Do we have a motion?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve application M1601 for the mobile food. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed?
We have one opposed. Application M16-01 stands approved. Staff update? Okay, let's go back.
Lance, you made the motion. Steve, you second? Okay.
Commissioner Schooley?
Or- I did, yeah, Nancy.
Commissioner Murray voted in opposition. Got it? All right. Staff update?
All items at council were approved.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any additional citizen comment at this time? If we not, any commissioners comment? Anything else we need to do? There being nothing else, Planning and Zoning Commission meeting stands adjourned.